The all-American half pounder, 2 pure beef patties, lettuce, tomato.
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Adrienne Meddock.
And I'm Steve McGowan. We're in a band, the Beef People, from Greenville, South Carolina, and Durham, North Carolina. We released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records, and we are record collectors and passionate especially about the expression of pop music perfection. That is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes for a great single is what propelled us to begin this podcast.
And this is episode number 086. 086. And, today's kind of ladies' choice.
Yes.
A single that I wanted to make sure that we mentioned, and one that's a song that's a particular favorite of mine, that's a particular favorite of mine. Traveling music for sure. This is Velocity Girl with their single
Sorry Again.
From
and 1994 on the Sub Pop label.
Sub Pop. So, Velocity Girl was one of those groups that benefited from the largesse and success that Nirvana's recordings brought to Sub Pop.
The money.
And, a little freedom to branch out and do some interesting things. And, there were support for Velocity Girl videos that were made. Right. Pretty decent distribution. And
Spike Jonze did one of their videos.
Yeah. So so they were given some backing by the label to try to make a splash. And boy, they certainly caught my attention. It was kind of a weird time
it was the kind of the end of the grunge era.
End of grunge, and of course, this is not a grunge group at all. And they sort of fall into that sweet spot of it's a little power pop, it's a little post punk, it's a
little bit of nasty guitar sound.
Nasty sounding guitars with incredible pop sensibility on the songs. So they were as my architectural professor used to say, it's neither fish nor meat, right? And it's not enough of one or the other. Right. And they just didn't catch a toehold. When you think about kind of what was dominating coming up in the alternative world at that time, probably a lot of shoegaze, and this is too loud,
a lot of Britpop.
Yeah, so this, maybe it would be a little happier with some of the Britpop, and it's got the loud guitars and the unabashed, tunefulness.
Melody, good melody.
They're not afraid of melody.
Catchy.
But for whatever reason, they recorded 3 great albums, and that was it, and just never caught the public imagination in the way that they certainly deserve to. So
why don't we listen to the single?
Yeah, and then you'll see what I mean.
It's Velocity Girl on Sub Pop Records. They are a Washington D.C. or via Maryland based
sort of
band.
A greater DC. They were known as a D.C. area band.
And the single from '94 is called "Sorry Again." Here's Velocity Girl.
When I'm all alone on the porch, I can drift in off
So there they are. As Adrienne was saying, this is kind of the Ladies' Choice single this week. I was not really familiar with Velocity Girl. I knew who they were. I've seen their records, but I've never heard this song. Really, this was during our interregnum,
Right.
which was quite a long time where we were not
Sharing music or
at all, talking to each other. And, I've listened to this single a number of times now, and I really like it.
Yeah.
It's right up my alley. It's good pop. It reminds me a little bit of New Order with the little guitar riff at the beginning. And I really like the boy-girl singing, and the kind of call response, the way the chorus goes. It's extremely catchy. It sticks in your head. It's earwormy.
Yeah, and certainly you can see some of their influences that they're wearing on their sleeves. They like the same sort of things that we've been talking about in this patch of podcasts.
A lot of those indie British bands.
Right, the Postcard Records, Creation, the Teenage Fan Club,
yes,
Aztec Camera, some of that in their blood. And with noise, I mean, you get some real, guitar attack
distorted
here.
Guitar, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's not jangly, really, in
right.
the traditional sense.
Right, but it's insistent and propulsive, and boy, I really like this band. And I saw them live once, and they were,
where was that at?
I saw them at the Cat's Cradle in Chapel Hill, and they were able to nail everything. I think it was Simpatico tour. I can't remember if it was that or the third record. I can't remember exactly which tour it was, but they were just stellar. They were fantastic. I really can't recommend them enough.
Great
to grab that back catalog.
So doing my research on them, supposedly they're considered a shoegaze band.
Yeah, and that's
I
just
do
not
hear that. No, I not at all. And they're compared to Lush a lot, and I love Lush, but this does not sound like Lush.
No, this isn't.
It's just because they have a girl singer. I think.
I think so.
Why
no, but and the lyrics are thoughtful and clever, but they're not mopey or self-referential in
not
sort
depressing.
of like There's not a woe is me type of wet blanket over the proceedings.
Lighten up, Morrissey.
Exactly. And like you said, there's almost something of New Order. You get the feeling that they drank from the water from around Hadrian's Wall, right? That there's a lot of that Northern England, Southern Scottish influence in their music.
Yes, even though they are unabashedly American.
Yeah.
They put out 3 records.
Yeah, 3 albums.
And they were together for about
just a few years, right?
6 years, maybe. Yeah.
It wasn't a decade, and I think they've done reunions and stuff. But this was a real moment in time, and they had some personnel changes.
Right.
And, not to be Wikipedia here, you can go check
find that out on your own.
Yeah, exactly. But I just can't. It's a shame that folks don't listen to Velocity Girl.
Right.
They certainly had some breaks. Right. They had John Peel sessions.
Yes.
They were on Sub Pop at a time where
when the label had money and was able to promote them.
Right. And that there was recognition for the label. Although if you were buying Sub Pop because you thought you were getting Nirvana, although here you've got the loud guitar and the pop sensibilities.
Yeah, but it's not grunge.
But it's not grunge.
I did read that they like to put out singles, so they're after our own heart.
Right.
There's a number of singles they've done, but you say that the full albums are excellent as well, right?
Yeah, the albums are worth getting.
Yes.
And this single was interesting because this is the time period where there are a lot of bands that were not putting out singles.
Right.
I'm thinking about Posies.
Right.
We had a CD single when we were talking about the Posies. But they released both a CD single that had 4 tracks. They call it, a maxi single.
Maxi CD, yeah.
And then there was also a vinyl, a 7-inch single, right? So they really were giving them
which is a
push.
very Sub Pop thing. Sub Pop's always been vinyl forward.
I think they've got a single subscription that they do now.
Yeah, we'll link to that.
But yeah, I mean, Velocity Girl was a great band with great songs. and something that holds up. I mean, it's not like so much of the moment. It's not like listening to some things where it's like, oh, you can really hear, some very dated sounding synths or
it's not dated
productions.
No,
it's not dated. It's really it was a moment in time as far as the time that they were together and the time that they recorded. But I think that there's some timelessness to the music.
Right. One little tidbit I got from reading about the band was the drummer, Jim Spellman, is now a reporter for CNN.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, and, I think that there was like college days, that I think they were formed around the University of Maryland area. But, I just can't speak highly enough of Velocity Girl.
It's a great single. It's called Sorry Again. It's on Sub Pop. It's a solid band. We like it. We encourage you to check them out.
So what do you think makes that a great single?
Well, it's got a number of great elements. First of all, it's catchy. It's got a great chorus.
Yes.
I like the little guitar figure in the verses, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, which is very New Ordery. I really like the way they use the boy and the girl, man and woman, vocals.
Right.
It fits together in a really interesting way, in a way you don't hear in a lot of indie rock. And it's propulsive. It moves along. It's not a shoegaze song. It's not boring. Don't bore as it gets to the chorus.
Yeah, it's a jump on the couch type of song, right?
It's very triumphant sounding, even though it's got kind of a little bit of a, I screwed up lyric.
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry. But I'm sorry in kind of a happy way. Right. So I liked it. Did you hear anything else that?
In some ways, maybe because they got the male and female vocals, it really reminded me kind of like what the Beef People might have become. What our band could have.
Sure.
It's got some of that the nasty guitars and the male and female vocals together, and we share some of those sensibilities.
Definitely. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be compared to them.
Right.
So, who do you hear covering Velocity Girl's "Sorry Again"?
I was thinking vintage Pixies.
Ooh.
With
Francis and Kim Deal singing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the two vocals and sort of the guitar.
Yeah, a little bit more crazy guitar sounding from Joey. I think they could definitely do kind of a little darker version of it. Yeah.
You would get a little bit more of the menacing sorry.
Yes. Maybe not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry at all. Who do you hear?
I was thinking, because it kind of reminds me of this song. Do you remember that band called the Icicle Works?
Oh, yeah.
They did From a Whisper to a Scream.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of in there. Right. The recurring figure. Yeah,
melody to it.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear them give it a go. Just because it reminded me of that. That's why.
Yeah, from sorry to a scream, I guess.
Right, exactly. From a window to a screen.
There you go. Do you have any recommendations for the people?
I think I want to hear yours, because I think it's probably, I'll probably just tack on to yours this
You get a suspicion.
Week. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about how Velocity Girl really was going to be a thing, right? There was the
Were they in Things magazine?
Right. I was thinking about Things magazine, which of course comes to us from the great world-building sitcom Parks and Recreation.
Right.
So I would recommend getting on the Parks and Recreation train if you're not already on, because it's just I think of it as a live-action Simpsons.
It's a parallel universe for sure.
It is. Yeah. It's got its own rules, its own cast of characters, the same way that you have Springfield on The Simpsons, that you've got Pawnee on Parks and Recreation. You've got this ever-expanding cast of characters and recurring incidents and rules for how things operate.
Didn't you tell me that they went like 6 seasons to to close a joke.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
something that happened 6 seasons earlier was resolved.
So,
I mean, you got to admire that. That's some serious storyboarding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their book or whatever they've
Yeah,
got to keep track of what what their universe, the characters in their universe is just incredibly impressive. So yeah, Parks and Recreation is wonderful, and of course, along with The Simpsons, they share showrunner Mike Scully, who he also has the advantage of in the live action version appearing as one of the townspeople that comes with great complaints in the audience at the town hall. So Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, you've definitely got me hooked on that. So I would recommend it as well. A lot of the guys from the Mike Judge shows are on that too. Greg Daniels and right. Some of those people. So you're getting a lot of people that are branched out into other shows.
That's King of the Hill, I think, right?
Yeah, and it's great. We were watching it last night, and who's the guy that plays Ron Swanson?
Nick Offerman.
He's amazing.
Right.
And Amy Poehler is just the best.
Everybody's wonderful. It's
they really
well
are.
cast,
Yeah.
and if you haven't found it already, you find it, and jump in. And it is one of those things that's probably worth watching in order, in that there's the rewarding callbacks are just so. I since I watched them in order, I can't tell what the value would be when you go back and watch them out of order. But, since that's easy enough to do in today's streaming world, I recommend that you do them in order.
Yep. It's a great show, and Amy Poehler is the velocity girl of that show.
she definitely propels things. Oh, we didn't talk about where the name Velocity Girl comes from.
Yes, what I read was it came from a B-side of Primal Scream. Right. Speaking of, Scottish. C86 bands.
So they're not hiding their influences.
Right. So that's kind of cool that they cop up to it, right?
Celebrating it and
just like we did with the Beef People.
Right. Named after our favorite grocery store.
Right. So, you guys can figure that one out pretty easy. So this has been Singles Going Steady, number 086, the amazing Maryland/DC band, Velocity Girl, super great indie rock.
Yeah,
indie
rock when they're as a descriptor.
When it was still rocking.
Yep.
Sorry Again is the name of the single. It's on Sub Pop Records. We like it. You should check them out. And anything else?
No, it's just great. I don't want to stand between you and starting to listen.
Okay. We will talk to you next week. Thank you very much.
Later.
To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records. Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.